if I can, call the meeting to order and have council please move approval of the agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you. A mover and a seconder.
No, okay.
Okay, and any changes, additions, deletions to the agenda? Councillor Ronsley?
Yes. Since this is the final meeting of this council, and as there are a large number of people here and yet to come to thank Mayor Broughton and to wish her well, I would like to move that the items 6 through 12, excepting 8DI, if that's an I or a 1, I'm not sure, be deferred to the future meeting in January 2015. 9AD, there's a contract that I think we would like to add to the agenda, and it's on table. Is that clear?
Could we add it as 9A?
And asking for...
So what, may I clarify that you're asking for the removal of items 3 through 12 with the exception of 8D, Roman numeral I, and adding 9A, which is the
Correct.
AED contract just for signature. It's been just sitting waiting, which is a...
And that results with all the items, they're moving accordingly there. Is that clear?
There's public participation.
And public participation.
Yeah,
so
so
from
Yeah, number 3.
from
Participate.
4 through 12.
Councillor Ronsley, I'm reading from top to bottom in the desired order, just so I can...
So would you speak up a little so everybody can
Oh,
hear?
sorry, Councillor Ronsley, could you read the desired order? And
Okay,
just
so we
that I
have
can-
the
so-
public participation,
Right,
and then we have the delegations,
okay,
and we have the adoption of the minutes. Is that correct? Business arising, I didn't figure that one out. Business arising from the minutes.
okay,
And unfinished physically replaced project, page 11, that's out. And then we go
So
to the,
then it's
sorry?
Then 8DI is in,
8DI is in, staff, the update on the Harvey Creek intake slide. It's on page 13. And I would suggest that we move that up so that our Public Works Manager can get some rest tonight besides attend our meeting, if she so desires.
okay,
Have we got it?
to where would...
Then when we get to 9AD, AED, the contract, here it is on table. We have the bylaws of correspondence, new business, public questions and comments, and we must adjourn at some place tonight.
Okay.
Is that clear?
So if I can help clarify it, you're removing number 7, is that correct? And number
Yes.
8, A, B, and C, and E, and 10, and leaving in 11?
We can.
Thank
yeah.
you. And removing 12? Or leaving in 12?
Except, I'd like to move
Third.
items 6 through 12 be deferred to future meetings in January 2015.
With the exception of 8DI and
6 through
9A. And is that comfortable for council?
Yep, I understand
Okay,
that.
call Councillor Ando.
And the purpose of doing all of this, why don't we just adjourn the meeting so that you guys can have whatever party or whatever you're planning to have? I don't understand.
We have, I think the purpose of all this is that this is easily deferred to January. We have Mayor Broughton here as mayor today for the last meeting of her term. And we have a number of members of the community who have chosen to be here to celebrate the mayor. And other items will hold well until January. And so that's the theory. And I would ask if there's a second to my motion.
A seconder. Any further discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. The motion is
Please
carried.
note that I've opposed.
Yeah, thank you very much. And my apologies for this, the changes. I'm just going to move ahead with public participation. And thank you very much. Neville Abbott. Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Hi. I had a few quick questions, but
Sure.
given what I've just heard, I don't know if they're going to be answered or not. So,
They
first
can-
question was, given the recent announcement on Mandy Kuntz, what is Mr. McGrady's position, and does he still work for the village? Second question was, given what's stated in the agenda package tonight, that the solution for the retaining wall outside was only meant to be 5 to 10 years, why was that, and what was the long-term plan?
I'm sorry?
I
In
didn't
the
get
agenda
that.
package tonight that I just looked at, there's a section where I think it might be an answer to Mr. Councillor Anders. I'm not sure where it comes from, but I just saw it now.
Yes, yes.
And it says the instruction
I had
was
the
to
same
design for a
response.
5 or 10 year plan. So I'm asking, why was that, and what is the long-term plan?
Maybe I can respond to both of those, Mr. Abbott. Well, we normally don't respond, but I'm capable of responding. Regarding Mr. McGradu, as you saw, the announcement is that Ms. Kuntz will assume the CAO position November 28th, which is next Friday. And Mr. McGradu will, given the will of the next newly elected council, is willing to mentor on a perhaps 1 day a week basis. So that's number one. Number two, I had the same response as you, exactly the same response. I went skittered when I read that line, and you'll see elsewhere, or pardon me, you'll see soon when Mr. McGradu sends out a package. The intention is 25 to 30 years. It is a 25 to 30 year renovation. Build. So I don't know where I had this exactly the same response as you had. I can't say where those numbers came from, 5 to 10 years, and it certainly isn't. It's quoted there. I don't know that that's correct or whether it was a mistake, but certainly the building has been renovated for an expected 25 to 30 years.
Can I just get clarification on Mr. McGrady's position? You said it will be decided by the future council, so what is it between now and then?
Oh, Mr. McGradu is the interim CAO until the 28th of November, and the inaugural meeting, I believe, is December 2nd, Tuesday, December 2nd. So the newly forming council will make those kinds of decisions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lisa Turpin?
Actually, I think maybe, Ms. Grant, we might want to let Alan go first, because I am going to perform a civil act of disobedience, and we are hijacking Madam Mayor to the Village Hall and the rest of council to table your meeting for presentations in the Village Hall. She knew, I should say, because I noticed this is being videotaped, she knew nothing about this. I had 4 phone calls asking what we were going to do for her today, and Brenda, I hate to side blast you, but you are coming to the Village Hall for
gotta go.
presentations. Okay, so Alan, if you would like to go first, and then we'll take council to the Village Hall.
Okay, my question is, why was the filtration system not installed on the water system when it was recommended at the time when they were doing studies? Was this for cost, or why was it not done?
That's a very good question. Again, I'll attempt to answer that. It was former Mayor Max Wyman's council, and maybe the tail end of former Mayor Douglas Miller's council that recommendation. So in the 2008 council that Councillor Ronsley and I presided in, that was never a recommendation. Since that time, I sat on the Water Committee of Metro Vancouver and came to understand why filtration was recommended for the Capilano Seymour. And it was a mistake in 2 PhD students from UBC when there was the 8 days during George Puel's time as chair of Metro Vancouver. George Puel presiding when there was an 8-day dirty water in Vancouver. Very concerning. And 2 doctoral students came to report that people had had increase in stomach aches in the associated hospitals that were fed by that water system. In fact, they had made a mistake. They were reviewing hospitals that were fed by the Coquitlam water system, and they didn't know that. Having sat on that committee for years and seen that 500 million was spent on filtration for the Capilano Seymour on a just under $1 billion contract, and they have not gone for filtration in Coquitlam. So during our first term, the filtration people came by and discussed filtration as a $3 million proposition, and then it was subsequent to that I sat on the Metro Vancouver Water. We have, when I say we have the highest Canadian standard, I mean that. So whether you have filtration or not, it's not going to affect how clean and how safe your water is.
Well, but you can't
Yeah.
use ultraviolet on it when you've got turbidity, right? So
No, I
it's all
understand.
goes
No,
down.
I understand that. So I don't want to be argumentative.
No,
but
I'm not.
No, but looking at those reports, the report came in at the end of the 2002-2005 council, and then the 2005 to 2008 former Mayor Max Wyman's council would have picked that up, and it never came forward to
I know this
the
is not your
2008
responsibility
council.
now, but I mean, how many more boil water advisors are we going to get before we can get
No, we
something
don't
done
know
about it?
about
I mean, I know you're not,
You know,
you're not in this
yes,
group now,
sure,
but this is my
sure,
concern.
sure. But we have left that on as a precautionary move, and we didn't know how long it would be before we could put Harvey on. Had we been able to put Harvey right back on, we would have put the Phase 5 tank back on, and as soon as we put that Phase 5 tank back on, which you'll see in the package, we will probably need to drain it, refill it, and hyperchlorinate it, and then we'll need to bring in Vancouver Coastal Health with our samples. Right now, the Harvey tank is sampling clean, and so we don't know whether we need to drain that, and then, we being the village, and then hyperchlorinate that as well. But so one thing that people should be aware of, and I don't know why I brought this tonight, but I must have brought it as an intuition. But you may have seen this, and that is the Capilano Reservoir. And so the same day that we had our first slide, because we had 2 more slides November 5th, but our first slide was October 22nd, and the Capilano Reservoir had 7 major slides, and it is completely closed. And the water that's serving that area is coming from Seymour, not Capilano, and it will be closed all winter. So these events happen occasionally, but the reason why it happened was because we were at the tail end of the largest typhoon on Earth that happened in Japan, and this is what this cold snap has been. It's been the very end of that typhoon. So that rain mass that came was just a profound amount of rain mass, which when we don't get that rain mass and you have that till soil, which is when you read the engineer's report, it's exactly that, the supersaturation, and that till soil bringing down a major tree, which just began the whole slide process. But probably that kind of event is unlikely probably to happen again for a few years, but it's going to take out stuff when it does happen.
I understand the process,
Yeah. So the community itself will have to determine.
Yeah, I know it's out
yeah.
of your hands now, but that was.
But you have to, as you get more educated about the whole infrastructure process, it's something that you want to, of course, put together. Our own team has very good ideas that can be implemented, I believe, for some filtration that I believe is the way to go. Now that's something that I haven't had the opportunity to sit at that table and I'm not looking to that opportunity, I don't mean that, but there's a broad education and infrastructure that needs to happen in the village, and because I think it's very poorly understood, so.
Well, you need to move the intakes. I think that's one of the problems, is that moving down a mountain and you in an area where you're not going to get this situation.
You know, you have to look at how our water system is a pressurized
Yeah.
system, right?
Mhm.
And so you have, so for example, people may not know this at this table, let alone in this chamber, but a few years ago, we had Magnesia have a slide, and all of the water from Harvey fed the community, right? This is why we have this redundancy. And so these things happen, but what it meant was it's high enough up, it can go, so you've got to have your whole water system high enough up above the community's residential homes to have that pressure. So it's like, it's just a whole bunch of knowledge has to get into the community's blood veins about infrastructure, because there's, from my perspective, been a lot of
Okay.
misinformation, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Mr. Does it make, is the rest of your agenda super quick? Because maybe it makes
Yes, I
sense
think
to
it makes
complete
sense to complete the agenda, honestly, if that's
I
okay.
think we
Thank you so much. If we could, thank you very much. If we can go ahead to item 8, pardon me, to the adoption of the minutes. Thank you. Could I have council move adoption? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin and Councillor Bain. Any comments, changes, deletions for the minutes? If I could just ask if on the bottom of page 6 of 43, 9A, if that resolution can be sent to resident Ruth Simons, who is helping out with the Howe Sound Community Forum, just for her information, that would be wonderful. And if there's no further changes, additions, deletions, thank you, Councillor Ando.
Page 2 of 7, the second to last bullet on the page. I was talking about accessibility, and I'm not sure if the politically correct term is wheelchair accessibility, but it is accessibility, not just access. We already have access to the council chambers.
Okay, so accessibility. Thank you, that's bullet number 2, line 1, the middle. Did you cut that? Great, okay.
Yeah.
Call question, I'm sorry.
Page 3, the first bullet, halfway through the paragraph, it says note that 5%, that percent should be centimeters. And the last line of the same paragraph, it says approximately, or add the word approximately, and the percentages should be added there to the report.
Okay,
The number 7, the resolution, I thought that there was already left over $1,000, and that the resolution was to add $9,000. So,
to add 9,000 to the 1,000.
right, so
That's
if
correct.
the budget's already there there's $1,000 already there, so I think that we should be approving the 9,000, but maybe I'm incorrect there.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the budget for additional work for the community center, the $1,000 was for the village municipal hall. What we're recommending is that the $10,000 be for the community hall, so it's just a clarification.
Yeah.
It's still, there's no more additional dollars, it's just that it's taking it out of the village hall and putting it into the community hall.
Isn't there 9,000 more additional dollars on top of the 860,000, or we're not approving an additional 9,000? We had a budget of originally 950, was reduced to 860. Did we, at this meeting, approve an additional 9,000 to be spent on the community center or not?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think
Thank
the
you.
report was quite clear that this is FF&E, which
Yeah.
was not included in the original budget.
This is furniture, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm gonna, with that, call,
Just a minute.
yeah, sure, okay.
Page 4 of 7, the third paragraph. Councilor Anda brought to council's attention that North Shore Neighborhood House will be withdrawing their services for, can we add before and after? So before and,
Before and after school care online too, of that
Yes.
paragraph. Thank you.
that's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much. Question on the motion, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can move along then to 8DI, and that's just the update on the Harvey Creek slide. Any comments there? Yes, Mr.
Through you,
McGratty?
Madam Mayor. No, I know that Nikki was trying to get here tonight. She was tied up. If there's any specific questions, I can certainly get her to follow up tomorrow.
Yes, Councillor McLaughlin?
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Broughton. And this is no reason for tomorrow, but because I'm observed the machinery at the entrance to Ocean View Gate, and this was a part of the capital expenditure plan for 2014 to do with the crocodiling. And not being a technical person, but to basically describe it, a fresh wall has been built along the way there, which would have been in this crocodile area. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, this change in the road, is that being paid for by PEP? In part because it allows for the machinery to go through.
Through you, Madam Mayor, my understanding is no.
Thank you.
They will pay for the cleanup, but not any additional works to the site.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Ando?
Has that road been completed? Or do you have an estimated time on when the road will be completed?
It hasn't been, through you, Madam Mayor, I don't believe it's been completed yet. I haven't heard today whether the work is done. I think they were shooting for sometime this week, early this week.
Yes, Councillor Ando?
And how is it coming in relation to the budget as far as the cost for
That's good.
that remediation?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I can't answer that question as of today. I believe we were on budget, but I can't tell you what happened today, but I can find out.
And may I suggest that, so that project has already begun, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you. I was sure that it had. Okay, so if I can move us along then to I'm sorry, Councillor Ando?
So I have a couple more questions, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
When the Phase 5 tank is brought back online, it says there's going to be it needs to be super or hyperchlorinated. Has that work been done, or because right now it's not dependent upon the intakes being done. So if you're planning to bring Phase 5 tank back online, then why wouldn't you start doing the hyperchlorination now in anticipation of bringing that tank online?
Let me take a stab at it, and we can sort of join hands here. But with the lack of knowledge of when this is going to be, I don't know if it's been the machine has gone up yet. I don't think it has to suck the material out. So yeah, and so this report indicates that it has not. So as long as it has not, then we would not empty and hyperchlorinate that as yet. So we want to make sure that when we do that, that's a lot of time involved, hyperchlorinate it, test it, and that it's all timely. And so Public Works would make sure that that's all done and with your, I hear what you're saying is that could this be done in a planned way that it all dovetails together? Possibly that can happen, and we'll pass that on to Mr. McGratty. That's a good idea. Mr. McGratty, anything that you'd want to offer there? Okay, Councillor Ando?
At the beginning of the emergency, it was my understanding that we were bringing in water from tank 4, and it was filling the 400,000 gallon tank, and it was only able, because of the pressure, and the pressure dropped 27 feet, only able to fill the tank to 1/3 of the 400,000 gallon tank. In the last report that was provided to us and also I believe to the community, it said that we were bypassing the 400,000 gallon tank. So I'm wondering a couple questions. First one was, why did we not continue to fill the 400,000 gallon tank? Why did we bypass it? And was the fire chief consulted when we decided to bypass it? Do we have enough water to suppress a fire without having that 1/3 of the 400,000 gallon tank capacity? Those would be the safety questions that I have with regards to bypassing. If I read her last report, which I believe went out as a mini post correctly, that we were bypassing that tank.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I believe you've spoken with the fire chief, and I think he's here, and I think the answer is that it depends on the fire.
Okay, I'm going to, yeah, could you?
I think even a portion of that large tank, if it's a third full, is more than enough for the average house fire.
Totally.
But the last e-post said that they were bypassing that tank, and that's why when it said that we were, that we didn't, or we weren't losing water, or it wasn't due to leaks, because they had bypassed the 400,000 gallon tank.
But we have enough in the Harvey tank to cover it.
That's the Harvey tank. If I can just
400.
interject, if that's okay, Councillor Bean. In our report before us, the bottom paragraph, bacteriological sample testing at Harvey Reservoir has continued to come back negative. Now that indicates that the water is continuing to flow through the Harvey tank. We have continued to test it for its bacteria. So there's water in the tank. So I'm going to move us to a next question, but have Mr. McBrado perhaps do a follow-up with you. Anything else?
Yes, the last question is, does PEP cover the second slide that occurred just past the gates on the Harvey Intake Road?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have asked for it. I'm not sure whether we've got confirmation whether they will or not.
Okay, so we'll seek that confirmation for the November 5th slides versus the October 22nd slide. So thank you very much. If I can move along then to 9A, the AED contract. And this is the defibrillator. We had signed up with the province of BC to have this free in our community center, which is, should somebody have a heart attack, then the defibrillator is right there. And so we just simply need to sign the contract, and then the defibrillator will be delivered and put into the, so it's not a contract that's going to be a negative surprise, it should be a positive surprise. So yes.
Just as a part, another part, we are looking at, came in quite late and quite, and we apologize that it's so urgent. But we are looking at not only training our staff, but we will be looking, I believe, going to the volunteers as well that use it.
Wonderful.
So that they'll know how to use this
That's great.
AED.
Councillor Ando?
I would recommend it also be expanded to the recreational service providers. So the dance instructor, the Taekwondo instructor,
Excellent.
any of those other groups, brownies, whoever else uses the community center, I think it would be useful for them to have that training if they were able to take that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we're going to try to get as many people as we can.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If I can move us along then to public questions and comments. There being none, move adjournment.
Thank you, please.
Could I have council please move and second? Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin, Councillor Ando. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And thank you all for being here this evening.
We go next door now.
There we go. You wanna know the time? 7:29. Pretty good.
Can I leave this here?
There, better go.
I'll just put Brenda.
Which money demand you incur?
Showing up. We're just gonna leave this here. I'll be at more when I make it. Yeah?
Are you leaving your bag here?
Yeah, I guess I could.
And I wish you
This is a nice final thing, and the community's got your thing going, and thank you, Joanne.
Come on, Mayor.
That's it. My kids are here in 15 minutes.
Oh
so
my
I
God.
might stay for a bit and then I'll be gone.
Okay. Holy. Okay.